Hey, my name is Colin. If you're anything like me, you have a gut reaction to some of the AI created content that is charting on music charts these days. I do. So today I want to examine a few arguments by an AI music creator and determine what I think about them and try to figure out if my gut reaction on this topic is right or not. And more importantly, I want to be able to articulate why I feel this way. I'm doing this for university credit, but I hope you get a kick out of it. This is a presentation on the arguments presented by a music creator who uses AI personas. We're going to talk about some historical context real quick, and then we're going to talk about some short statements by the creator. And then we're going to burn away irrelevancies to get to the truth. Animated and artificial personas are nothing new. David Robert Jones performed as David Bowie, performing as Ziggy Stardust in 1972. In 1998, Prozac was performed by two musicians from the Philosopher Kings, who used cartoons as a sort of branding to distinguish their other music from this music. Unlike this, many AI creators have stood kind of invisibly behind their musical personas, such as the persona Breaking Rust, who hit #1 on Billboard's Country Digital Song Sales chart last fall. To my knowledge, Albert has never performed any kind of public interview about their creation. I also don't have a photo to show you. Unlike Breaking Rust, Topher Townsend, who performs under the persona Solomon Ray, is not one to quietly hide behind his persona. He's made the choice to publish gospel music. I think an interesting choice, and one we're going to talk about today. While he uses an AI-generated picture for his persona, he on his social media talks about working with AI and is happy to be involved in the conversation. And think he gets some points for relative transparency here, at least relative to some members of the AI music industry. Um, Up until this point, Townsend had published hip hop. He'd been popular enough among a certain audience to perform at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021. So he was a figure of some repute when he started charting in November 2025 on the Billboard Hot Christian sales charts. So I did cut the video of Mr. Townsend talking, but it took 2 minutes of the video and it put me way over time. So I'm going to invite you to go and verify the video for yourself and ensure my transcription correctly. But here are the statements I've got from him. Nothing is either morally or immorally right or wrong at this point. Nobody is pulling out scripture to ban my music or nothing. It's really more of a preference. You can't tell somebody's feelings and impact from their music or whether it's fake or fraudulent. AI is just an instrument and thus an extension of my creativity. Therefore, to me, it's art. It's definitely inspired by Christians. It's not performed by one, but I don't know why that matters in the end. Once again, preference. Okay, I wanted to have these arguments on the screen quickly, but time is of the essence. So what we have here is just a restatement of this first argument. I'm not aware of any morality issues or scripture-based arguments about my music. One can't tell someone's true feelings or impact from their music if it's fake or authentic. And AI is analogous to a musical instrument, an extension of the artist's creativity. Therefore, the choice to listen to AI, gospel music, or not is a question of preference and not morality. Townsend says, I'm not aware of any morality issues around his music. Well, despite that, there are frequent news articles detailing moral issues around AI generated content. I don't see how this could possibly be true for Townsend. Just recently, Canadian music historian Alan Cross, who knows something about the ongoing history of new music, wrote that no one asked artists for their permission to allow AI programs to learn from their copyrighted intellectual property. In other words, their work was stolen. Now, I would say that's a moral issue. Townsend goes on to reason you can't tell someone's feelings or impact from their music. You can't tell what's in their heart, you might say. And he's right. You can. Performers of Christian music may or may not experience faith. LLMs, though, certainly don't experience faith. But why does he bring this up? Why does he bring this up? Well, I think from the way this argument is structured, it seems like there's something maybe embedded in number 2 here that we're not quite saying. Um, so I think something's missing. So I think when we arrive at premise two, there's something a little bit unstated here. I think what he's not saying is that when others create music, when they don't belong to a community, maybe like a person who is non-Christian who releases a Christmas album, people don't normally think of that as a moral issue, just a choice of preference. So I think he's going on to reason that it must not matter if a performer doesn't belong to a community, and therefore it must not matter that his AI doesn't belong to that community. I'll let you decide for yourself if you think that makes sense. AI is analogous to a musical instrument, an extension of the artist's creativity. Well, do we think that using AI is akin to a musical instrument? Musical instruments make noise only according to the user's ability and skill level. AI algorithms can provide editorial guidance, though they can nudge, they suggest, they can ask, they can align. They can a drum provide those things? I will let you decide for yourself. So what do we think? Well, there are a couple of techniques we used here. We found an unstated premise. We found a false analogy. Ultimately, I'm not sure Townsend has convinced me that there aren't any moral questions outstanding. I think it's pretty clear that there are. But I also think that we've clarified our thinking around the topic, and we've maybe learned a little bit about what's not being said about this topic that maybe is useful. Okay, let's talk about our second statement. Again, here's a link to the video. I'm going to invite you to go verify yourself. This video was posted in response to a Baptist preacher who had brought forward some scriptural criticisms of him. But there's also some moral stuff baked into his statements too. So if you don't know what you're talking about, Townsend says, please be quiet because all you're doing is confusing the masses. Here's the real deal, he says. Listen. In the United States, AI is used as an assistant tool for musicians, lyricists, and artists. Now, for an artist to claim any copyrighted works concerning a song, there has to be a human element that they attach to the song, whether it be the music or whether it be the lyrics. He goes on to say, I understand that the music industry is changing and this is one of the top things people are discussing, but it's not going anywhere. We better get used to it. These songs are coming from real people. Breaking down these second statements. His first premise here, it's a quick ad hominem attack. He literally appeals to the masses. He also appears to be asserting that he's a greater authority on the Bible than this Baptist preacher. I'll let you decide if you agree with that. But he also goes on to say that in the US, some musicians and lyricists use AI. I think that's a pretty benign statement. So we go on to say now that for any artist to claim a copyright, there has to be a human element attached to the song. And the number one song used AI and is copyrighted. So therefore, there must have been a human element attached to it, the music or the lyrics. Well, so let's restate this into our premises. When music is copyrighted, there has to be a human element. The song was copyrighted. Therefore, a human must have written the music or the lyrics. Well, let's take a look at those statements. We've got all the copyrighted music, we've got AI tool-assisted music, and we've got music with human elements. Now, presumably all copyrighted music was created either by a human or a human using AI to assisted tools. But a person could, falsely report on a copyright form that there was a human element attached to a song. And that would be here. I'm not really sure we can therefore conclude anything. This might also be an example of affirming the consequent, because we are assuming that because it's copyrighted, therefore there must have been a human element. And I think we've proven that's not true. Statement that Townsend makes might be the most compelling. He understands the music industry is changing, but and that technology isn't going anywhere. These songs are coming from, to some degree or another, real people, and we should probably accept these changes to the music industry. Now, there might be some truth to that. It's not going anywhere, and that change has certainly happened. But you can decide for yourself if you like it or not. Does this leave us? Well, I don't like it, but I think Townsend might be right about some of what he's saying. I think maybe using AI tools to create music could even be art under the right circumstances. But I don't agree with Townsend that we have to accept these changes to our music industry. We can push back on things. Music movements of grunge and punk and indie rock have shown that the way music is made is really important to their audiences. Not to get all Holden Caulfield, but people are sensitive to things being phony, and people care about authenticity. Anyway, What did we do today? Well, we diagrammed some arguments. We spent some time looking for unstated premises. We looked for arguments founded on emotional biases, and we found some arguments that distort or evade facts. Finally, we were real careful not to strawman his argument because we want to be correct. We don't want to just win an argument. These are some of my favorite tools for my critical thinking toolkit. They've served me well over the years. Um, yeah, so I hope you've learned something from this. And that's the end. I just want to note it takes less effort than ever to create bullshit. So keep your skeptic hats on, keep thinking critically. Be safe out there.